After the cancellation of the Imola GP, Mercedes decided to waste no more time and bring the massive upgrade package to Monaco, the upcoming race. While the downforce requirements of Monaco definitely suit the package upgrade of the W14, it's one of the riskiest races that the team could have chosen to bring such a direction-shifting, massive upgrade to its car. Nonetheless, Mercedes has shown that they have no time to waste, and with Monaco being Monaco, they're definitely eyeing a front row finish in the qualifying session and will keep this advantage throughout the course of the race. So will the new upgrades help them achieve their first win of the season? The Silver Arrows started the season on a bad note, as the W14 turned out to be a car with too strong of a front end and no rear downforce at all. What this effectively meant was that the car struggled a lot to generate downforce from the rear wing and the floor, the two main generators of downforce in the new regulations, with the emphasis being put on the floor the most. That's why the Monaco upgrades will involve a new floor, new front suspension and a brand new side pod design, one that's believed to be a combination of the AMR23 and the RB19. But apart from the rear downforce, what was the main issue that the W14 struggled with? As I mentioned earlier in this video, the strong front end seemed like too big of a challenge to overcome for Hamilton, who said that the car was very unpredictable in the slow corners and the braking points were very difficult to predict as well. What this meant was that Hamilton and Russell had to give up a bit of straight line speed before they entered the corner, braking earlier, and due to the instability of the car, they had to accelerate a bit later after exiting the corner. These are the sections where Red Bull and Aston Martin were able to gain the most advantage, and that's been achieved by having a car that has a massive amount of downforce. Nonetheless, the W14 had nothing of this in the first 5 races, and it was most visible in Bahrain, a track that had a middle downforce requirement on the cars. Imola is a track that's labelled as a high downforce one, meaning that if Mercedes upgrades turn out to work, then it would be the best thing that the team would have hoped for. But will it be enough to challenge Verstappen and Perez? According to Wolff and Russell, the car design in of itself will not be enough to beat the raging bulls ahead, but it's definitely a step in the right direction. So what they wanted to do at this point was to keep the expectations low to moderate, so if the car doesn't deliver the results that they would want it to deliver, they wouldn't get bashed for overhyping the new design that has James Allison's imprint all over it. When talking about the design's expectations, Russell went on to say that even though the W14 started to show some teeth and be competitive in Miami with the same old design, they still finished 30 seconds behind Red Bull and a fair amount behind Alonso. So while the design in and of itself is pushing the team in the right direction, it's not enough to make them race winners. What's good news for Mercedes is that they'll also bring upgrades to 2 different venues, Barcelona and Silverstone, and in addition to that, they can count on 17% extra wind tunnel time they have compared to Red Bull as the season progresses, but we'll get to that later in this video. First, let's see what Wolff had to say about the upgrade, and what the freshest news is about the W14 in Monaco. When talking about it, the Austrian has explained the magnitude of it, labelling it a major surgery due to the fact that they're bringing 3 different parts, and to synergize all of them in one piece of machinery will definitely be a massive challenge that the team would have to overcome. Furthermore, he added, "I think what we're trying to do with the upgrade is to create a new baseline for us to take question marks and variables out of the equation, and to say, this is not a problem now that we have gone to a different spec, and that is, for example, front suspension. We're also looking at bodywork solutions that are, let's say, more conventional than others that will create a different airflow. It's almost like a reset to what would have been a good start 12 months ago, and then to try to add performance to the car. But at the moment, it's just a lack of understanding." One thing that Mercedes truly struggled with was predicting the car's performance at certain venues. True, they did find out that they can deliver good results on tracks that are front limited, but that's by far enough for you to be competitive in a season in which you have a team that threatens to win every race of the season. Most of the time, the car would have delivered good results when you would expect it the least, and that was practically the whole story of the 2022 season, one that Mercedes labelled as a data gathering one. However, even though the upgrades are pushing Mercedes in the right direction, to think that they would battle with Red Bull with just one major upgrade is a bit of a far-fetched scenario. Even Steiner himself said that adding 0.5 per second in just one upgrade package with the budget cap and the development path of the 2023 season is impossible. After the Miami GP and prior to the cancellation of the Italian GP, Hamilton was asked whether he thinks he can compete with the Red Bulls in Imola with the new upgrade, and his response was that unless the upgrade brings a 1 second advantage per lap time, then there is no way he'd be competitive for the win. Wolff, on the other hand, has also denied that the car's upgrade will be something that would boost the performance to the extent that Hamilton has asked, and when assessing the goals in Imola and for the remainder of the season, the Austrian went on to add, "I don't believe in miracles, but I think that the stability of the car and the predictability for the drivers is subpar. If you believe to sort that out, helped by a front suspension redesign, then that's definitely a good avenue, and this could be more than a tenth or two on lap time. But the aerodynamic package brings more from simply unlocking more drivability and pace. No other car should be moving forward immediately, but we know what we want to deliver in terms of aerodynamic performance and hopefully also better behaviour of the car." Obviously, Mercedes' performance in Monaco will be under a huge question mark, and a 0.3 of a second improvement will definitely put them in a fight for podiums. Yet, it will be far from Red Bull's performance. So where are the Silver Arrows seeing the opportunity to challenge Verstappen or Perez further down the road? In the middle of the season, the teams are starting to reap the rewards from the aerodynamic facilities, and it seems like Mercedes feels like they can use the 17% extra time in these facilities to make themselves competitive again. If they manage to deliver a good and working design for the W14, then there shouldn't be an issue in closing the gap further to Red Bull. However, this would be very hard to achieve at Imola, a track that favours Red Bull much more than it does Mercedes due to the downforce requirements. Yet we mustn't forget that all of the upgrades that Mercedes is bringing to Monaco are to fix the downforce requirements of the car. So even though we may not see them fighting for wins, they could definitely snatch a podium on pure pace. If they manage to do so, then it's safe to say that they have achieved the platform that Wolff was talking about, and ultimately that was the main goal of the Mercedes upgrade. One thing that Mercedes can bet on in Monaco is the unpredictability of the track. Anything can happen here, and if you're fast with a little bit of luck, you can achieve a front row starting position on Sunday and then just cruise for the win, hoping that the tactics and the reliability will serve you well. On top of that, Mercedes is also risking a lot by bringing these upgrades to Monaco, given the fact that Russell and Hamilton will have zero chance of making a mistake due to the narrowness of the circuit, but it just goes to show that Mercedes doesn't have time to waste anymore. Andrew Chauvelin also spoke about the upgrades that Mercedes was supposed to bring to Imola, but are now moving to Monaco. And while he understands that the new parts will deliver a stronger pace, he also confirmed that this is just the first and by far the last step towards recovering from 1.5 years of developing a car with the wrong design. When talking about it, Chauvelin added, "The Imola package are the first steps in that direction. We're hoping to bring other updates later in the year. We do hope that it's quicker, we hope that it's better in terms of qualifying and pace. The key thing though is that we're not just looking to bring a lap time update, we're looking to head off in a different development direction. One that we think gives us a better chance in the long term of being able to challenge for race wins and world championships." With this in mind, we do have a lot to look for in Monaco, because Mercedes is by far the only team that's bringing upgrades and is looking to challenge the dominance of Red Bull. However, they are the only team that's bringing something brand new, which only increases the chance that we'll hear the British anthem after every race more frequently.